Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have a newcomer into the temple, creator of Miami 86, the very rules late. In fact, the demo is on one page. Take on 80s Miami crime fiction. The one and only Maciej Wróblewski, and I know I screwed the pronunciation on that. My apologies. In my defense, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm not a polyglot.
Yeah, sure. You can call me Archmage Arispen, by the way.
All right, I might go with that just for the sake of my sanity and not screwing it up repeatedly.
Might be easier
Yeah.
for some.
But how you
Okay.
doing? How you doing today, man? I know it's
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I know it's mid-afternoon.
Yeah,
where you are.
thanks for inviting me. And yeah, I'm fine. I hope you as well. And I will be happy to share some details of the game that I'm working with a bunch of other people now. That, as you already said, is called Miami 86, and it's based and inspired by classics like Miami Vice and Scarface. And yeah, as you said, I've created a distilled one-page version or one-page edition of that. That is, let's say, most important pieces of the game on that. But obviously, as we are aiming to have the full book at least 80 pages long, I think that will be a little bit more than that already. And yeah, what else? We currently have the crowdfunding on GameFound. GameFound is also a Polish platform because, as you might know or not, let's say most of our team is from Poland, although we have some American counterparts as well. And yeah, well, I can't say that I'm not happy because we got funded in 40 minutes and 30 seconds to be exact. So or I can already say that the campaign is successful. And yeah, and definitely the book will be printed.
Yeah. So I like to open with the humble beginnings, the origin story, as it were. So walk me through your first introduction to role-playing games and what made it stick.
Yeah. So actually, this is interesting because I've seen this story lately from different sources. Like people played in their childhood, in their teens. That was also a case of me. And then they got a I don't know how to call it, but they stopped for many years, and then they came back and play once again. So this is exactly what happened to me. So I played in it was junior high and high school as well a bit. Then so I started with the D&D free third edition 3.0. And then I moved to a bunch of other. They were mostly Polish role-playing games, very distinctive and very creative. But unfortunately, I think most popular then became other games published by foreign companies. But anyway, so I played some of that. Actually, D&D was the one I played most. And when fourth edition came out, I was not already not playing, I think. And then me and my friends, we kind of switched to playing board games with our girlfriends and stuff like that. And I had this this period where I didn't play anything, and few years, just a bunch of years ago, I've first went back to playing role-playing games and also designing. So some of people might know the game I made on a business card that I call Dungeons and Business Cards. Was quite and is pretty much still quite popular. And yeah, then another thing occurred because of Wizard of the Coast. They dropped support for Polish language. They dropped Poland from their schedule. And the funny thing is, by accident, I became a publisher of unofficial rulebook for D&D 5th edition in Poland. That is, I could say, I can say quite successful, because you will not get the official D&D in Poland in Polish language anymore. I'm publishing the unofficial ones. And yeah, so I got into book publishing, and then next idea was to publish a standalone game.
And with that in mind, with Miami 86, since you're doing a game that is very much drenched in that particular atmosphere. What about that? What about that particular time period of Miami and just the culture in general? Drew you to wanting to make a game out of it.
That is something that I felt like it's missing in the role playing world, and I thought that it's the ambience and this I don't know how to call it, the setting is so distinct and appealing, at least for me, that there should be a game about that.
Mm-hmm. I can certainly get that, and I know you mentioned Scarface, Miami Vice, and Grand Theft Auto Vice City, one of the more underrated entry in that PS2 run. But were there any other major source of inspiration as far as the style you were trying to go for, or were those the main
Yeah.
the main ones?
Yeah. So the ones you mentioned are fictional, and the real world was quite a big inspiration, particularly the Miami drug war. So the whole the term cocaine cowboys, and yeah, the stories about the way those guys smuggled drugs into Miami, how they got at the Bahamas to work with that, and yeah, the real history.
Yeah, I can certainly get that. Now, you had also mentioned taking some notes from games like Into the Odd and Karn, which is funny to bring that up since that recently released a second edition. What was it? Was it mainly the lo-fi design of those two games that drew you in to want to use that as a base, or was there something else that drew you in?
So yeah, even though I'm publishing a rule book for D&D 5th edition, I've written that and printed that. I don't. If you ask me about how the underwater combat works, I would have no idea about that, and I would probably have my own rulings. So even when I'm publishing a adventure for 5e. I'm also making it quite OSR here and there, because I'm yeah, I really dig that philosophy. And yeah, Karen was actually I didn't I wasn't familiar with that at all. I've seen that it's somewhere there from time to time popping up somewhere, but actually I was not really familiar, and I didn't know that I will like it. But then I realized, or I learned that actually the core mechanic is you roll your ability scores the same way as it was in old school D&D. So you roll 3d6,
Mm-hmm.
and actually then the resolution of the saves is super simple as well. You roll d20, so the same dice, the same familiar dice that are in D&D, and yeah, and that's it. You have your ability scores. You're under it. Roll under it. It's super simple and very elegant for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I immediately fell in love. I don't know. I don't remember if I first learned it from Into the Yacht or Kern, because I own both of them. And yeah, but I thought that it's great. And also, why not going with just D6? I really wanted to have a full set of dice because I like how different types of dice uh, behave, look, and so on. And I really wanted to have the whole set of dice to be useful in the game. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have things like Uzi doing 1d8 damage and Fist 1d4 and so on.
Yeah. Which I can certainly see in that, and it definitely helps with the one page edition to kind of get the message across. Now with the full book, is it largely going to be the exact same rules as the one page edition, or are there going to be some expanded rules within that full book?
Yeah, we were basing on the rules that are provided in the Kern SRD,
Mm-hmm.
and then we add some more that are either required or a good addition to the base rules. But for the modern, let's say, because it's pretty different than the Kern, which is usually which is mainly a medieval fantasy. It's more into the odd. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for example, the rules for um, the detachments or the damage of the rifles. So these things are there. And yeah, we have some rules for drug usage. There are we have a lot of generators. So in the one page you only have 2d6 roll to roll a random job. There's a lot much more in the book, and there are many random generators, random tables. So it should be very easy for uh, for both sides. The generation of the character is very quick and easy, and also rolling the quests for game master should be streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, there are some additional rules here and there, and yeah, and some additional content. Obviously, we have the setting described, NPCs, locations. There's an adventure included in the book. Yeah, and every list that you see in the one page is much longer because there are like I don't know half a dozen. I mean, 2 dozens of the vehicles or weapons. Things like that in the book. There are much more. We have 20 player character backgrounds. Each background is described with the starter set items, and yeah, so there are much more things in the book,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yeah. And one of the things that apparently you plan on adding into the book I wanted to talk about is solo rules. And
Sure.
is that solo framework built on the predecessors with like Cairn and Into the Odd, or did you take your own approach with solo rules?
I take advantage of Creative Commons license.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can read in the book, the Solo Toolkit is based on Barrow Delver by Matthew Morris.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also made a similar thread generator that was in lasers and feelings, so I'm also attributing John Harper in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get that. I think one of the other things is the nightclub running rules, which can provide a very effective downtime activity.
Sure.
Uh, so how exactly would that work? Is there like an event table that you're going to be utilizing?
Yeah. It is as well as generally the whole framework or of what is the cost of setting it up, what events can happen, what did you have to do, and what threats you have to deal with, and also this is also a that could sparkle some kind of quests, side quests, and yeah, so it's laid down in the book. The nightclub. There are also rules um for I got sorry I got lost. Where was I? Nightclub and uh yeah I wanted to say something else, but I lost it. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No worries. These things happen. So I suppose the other part that I'd want to lean into is you're talking about full scale wars, which when it comes to a lot of lo-fi, a lot of light games, a lot of them don't really handle large scale conflicts in their core setup. So I'm curious how you would be handling that.
No, this is just a this is half joke
Hmm.
as you half serious, but it's let's say we have some. Yeah, now I remember what I wanted to
Yep.
mention. So we also have rules for driving and chasing,
Hmm.
and also about the nightclub. We also have rules on establishing money laundering operations, and about those full scale wars. So it's mostly like you can have attachments that are engaged in battles, but waging a war in Miami '86 is in let's say in alignment with how the Miami drug war looked like. So you have constant war between the Cuban mafia, the Colombian mafia, and even Russian mafia. So you
Hmm.
can this is the way you can engage it, and the war is on many levels, and yeah, there are different ways to engage in these wars.
Hmm. Yeah, I can get that. Oh, I was curious why the golden Uzi is its own bullet point on the featuring list on the GameFound page.
Yeah, yeah. So we have artifacts in the game because I really didn't want that to be super serious and super historically accurate. So I thought that maybe some players would be excited about getting a artifact, let's call it, as it's in the book during the adventures. So it's obviously not a magic item, but even after writing descriptions of those renowned items, I decided that I will give some each one of those a little, let's say, little statistics. So each one of those artifacts, there's only a bunch of those, will give you something. Yeah, but I don't want to spoil too much. So I hope it will bring fun to the table.
Hmm. Yeah, I can certainly get that. Now, continu- continuing on from that, since you brought up chase mechanics, that's another thing that some games have tried and some games have done well at, some a little bit less so. How are you handling chase? a single die roll, or is it a more extended affair?
Yeah, so currently we are let's say during the playtesting of that mechanic, but as is very rules light and very easy, and it's basing on the idea that there are free distances, as it's getting quite popular lately in many games. We have close, near, and far, right? And having that, you can advance to the next zone depending on how do you start the chase. Is it like you're losing someone, or someone is trying to lose you?
Mm-hmm.
And then you advance to the next zone by making a save of the using the statistics of your vehicle. So let's say the Porsche Carrera would have a advantage on losing Ford Pinto, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also it's the idea is also mentioned in the one-page edition. So it's like you're performing maneuvers during that chase that can help you either advance to the next zone where the opponent is, or then trying to do something else when you're close to each other.
Mm-hmm. I can certainly get that. Now, I'd also like to point out that at the bottom on the featuring list, you mentioned doing recipes for 80s inspired cocktails. Uh,
Yeah.
did you guys end up doing a bit of digging around to try and find what sort of drinks would be served at clubs in the era?
I just hired a friend of mine that he's a bartender, and precisely asked him to design cocktails for this setting. So we have free drinks currently. By the way, the funny idea behind the recipes is that at some point when publishing adventures for 5e, I decided to include a recipe there. And at the convention in June, when I was at the booth selling my adventures, where I have this short adventure called The Orcish Treasury. It's in Polish only currently.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the biggest selling point was that at the end, at this very end page, last page of this booklet, there's a recipe for a cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I was describing to players at the booth what's the adventure about, everyone was quite interested. But when I mentioned the cheese recipe, everyone started smiling. So I said, okay, and it was making people buy this book in no time. So I decided that I want to have a recipes at the end of each role playing game or adventure book I will sell. So that's why the cocktails are definitely going into the book. So yeah, we not yet play tested the cocktail recipes, but I'm pretty sure looking at the list of the ingredients that they will be cool
Mm-hmm.
and successful.
Yeah, I can certainly get that. Now you mentioned that the full book is probably going to be around 80 or so pages. Even with some of the stretch goals, I'm guessing that it probably won't go past 90 when all's said and done.
I I don't want it to pass the 100. I think. So that was the initial aim because but currently I'm not able to estimate it precisely because we are still doing we are still writing the book, and then um, we don't know how it will translate when the layout will be applied,
Yeah.
because someone else will be doing the layout. The initial idea was that I will be doing it myself, but the good news is I hired someone that will do it better, and then those layouts that you can see on the project page are done by Justina, and she's a much better graphic designer than me, and she has a lot of experience doing book layouts.
Hmm. I can certainly get that. Now, with that in mind, what would you be shooting for as far as a release window? Not a hard date per se, but a general ballpark.
So the plan is that the book is released in February, but I might be sending out PDFs for backers much earlier.
Hmm. I can certainly get that. And I will be keeping an eye on how it develops. But with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my temple and enjoy the madness that happens around here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's a pleasure,
Mhm.
and it's also asking good questions is very fruitful. I think for both sides. So thank you very much for inviting me, having here, and thanks a lot for your time and work as well.
Mhm. Yeah. And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open. As I often say around here, drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged.
Sure.
And of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there'll be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.